All right. So thank you all for joining for the How to Apply webinar for the 2024 calendar year. Not a lot of this is different from the first round just because it's, the same VERP 3.0. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the parts we all already know, and I'm just going to spend time highlighting the parts that are different. So I'll go ahead and yep, so you're here today. We have the application due date right there, the November 22nd. You can submit them in the chat, or there's a few screens in here that say questions, so we can pause and answer some questions if there are any. So this is the same as last time, just the same background, just the 3 rounds of funding. What's different here is that last bullet. So for VERP 3.0, I'll start with the middle one. So VERP 3.0 will be administered based on a 2-year funding cycle. DHCD will issue 1 year the calendar year 2023 grants, which we've done, and you all were awarded your grants for this year. And then VERP will be renewable for the 2nd year of funding for the calendar year of 2024 as a continuation grant. Applications for the continuation grant will only be available to you all that are current grantees that have received funding during the 1st year of VERP, and applicants will be evaluated based on performance, compliance, and available funds. The goals remain the same in the 2nd year to address systemic issues, to make eviction rare, brief, and humane, and to create a coordinated eviction prevention and diversion system. This is the same from that first year. We don't require a match, but I just wanted to highlight that if you do have any match documentation or MOUs, and I'll talk about this more later, but or letters of commitments in the attachments that are uploaded, we'll need an updated one unless your upload from last year did cover both years of the program, 2023 and 2024. Either way, just having it cover 2024. Systems change focus is the same, to focus on the causes rather than treating the symptoms. You guys have all done a great job so far on this. And we will send the presentation, which is why there's a lot of information that I won't be reading just for reference. So continuation grant eligible applicants, like I said already, you must be a current grantee, and then the same as last year, which you all are already eligible. The applicant requirements still going through CAMS. We'll still need, we're still allowing sub-grantees, and just like I said before, any agreements or MOUs, they must be updated to reflect that they're covering 2024 as well. And you'll be submitting those as an application again. And of course, if you have any audit findings or anything, that would not be eligible. Are there any questions so far?
No.
So we'll keep going. So changes from calendar year 2023 this year. You may have heard that we mentioned it, but moving costs and application fees are going to be allowable expenses again for 2024. However, it's only for participants or applicants whose incomes are between 31% and 80% AMI, and that is to an attempt to not duplicate funds, since I believe it's prevention funding that allows you to do moving costs and application fees for that 30% and below. And it's not written here, but it does not include hotel or motel. That is still
And
not eligible.
Gabby, for moving costs, does that include storage units, or is that simply like a deposit? What is actually included in moving cost?
Yeah, so we left it kind of broad because
Okay.
for things like that, I do think I think storage units would be eligible, even though it's not like preventing an eviction, it's helping that humane aspect of like what we want, not having people have to throw away all their things. So, and moving trucks and things like that should be eligible. But if you obviously have a question, it would be like normal, how you already do, just ask.
And deposit would be in there?
Yes, security deposit is in there,
Deposits.
application fees.
All right, perfect.
Yes. The pilot program design is the same. Nothing has changed beyond the moving costs. Still all the same parts of the program which you all are already doing. Again, prevention, diversion, these slides just go in more in depth, so I'm not going to spend time on them. Unless you have questions. The port navigation is still a required part.
Abby, can you go back to that previous one?
Yes.
So Sharvela, when she reviewed, she wasn't able to be here today, but she wanted me to ask on that last one. We understand the court navigation, the piece about working with the court piece of it, but she just wanted to inquire about DHCD's expectation with those other pieces. So that last bullet where it says programs must create partnerships. So working with the courts, we're good on that. But those other ones, I think she wanted clarification on y'all's expectations for how that looks.
Yeah. So this language has already been in there, just but these are all, I would say, more examples of partnerships that are you could go for. I mean, like you said already, the court navigation is the only required parts, but I know some grantees have like job readiness programs or different partnerships that they work with. So these aren't, I wouldn't say requirements or we have explicit expectations. More so, these are initiatives or partnerships that promotes change, that whether or not maybe you would like to incorporate them, you can.
I got you. So like increased partnerships with workforce development and different childcare providers or different programs that maybe can braid along with VERP to make it more affordable, things like that. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, feel free to stop me if I'm speeding past something you have a question on. So port navigation, all of this is the same as is currently. I mean, the same outreach, language access, requirement of someone with lived experience, coordination and the referrals, which you all have done great on. Just repeated information about the advisory committee. We haven't added or removed any of these required members or representatives, so it's still that there's no change there. These are all the same as the first year. Eligible activities, the only difference is going to be this moving costs and application fees that I mentioned, and just with the different eligibility of instead of 31% to 80% AMI and not hotel motel status. Oh, and just so this is the way it's listed in CAMS, all of these. So moving costs and application fees, like that'll be an actual budget line item for you to have there. Participant eligibility, nothing here has changed with besides that moving cost difference and application fee difference, but we haven't made any changes to the intake form or the eligibility form or any of the factors. Still working with that housing first approach. And just more information on it if you're not familiar. Any questions? Oh, I see questions in the chat, Brenda.
Hey, I had several questions I just put in the chat as you were going along. And going back to the pilot program design,
Yes.
we wanted to make sure what you were talking about, activities, all the activities that must be included. And it was the referral protocols. So are we tracking the referral protocols for reporting?
Are you tracking? What was that last word? Sorry.
So we want to know how should that be tracked, the referral protocols. So are you looking for the individual name or when we did it or who we submitted it to? Did they go to SNAP, TANF, WIC? Is it that level of detail?
Yeah, no, I don't believe we're tracking that or asking for that to be tracked. I think it would be probably something reflected in your program guidelines as a policy, just that there is a protocol and that you are making sure that you're referring, if you, and a lot of you already do that when you read people's financial activities and you say, okay, here are other programs that you could be connected to, and then helping them get connected to that. But there's no formal data collection we're doing on that besides if it's in the report already. But that would be something that has already, it wouldn't be anything new that's added.
Okay, so still under the program design or under the activities and the we were looking at the program guidelines. So it says if a grantee prefers to focus on either eviction or prevention or diversion, that the grantee must actively coordinate and partner with organizations that provide eviction prevention or diversion services. So are you saying, can we do one or the other, or do we still have to do both? But if our focus is on one or the other, we have to have a partner to help do that.
Yes, the program design does still need to include both prevention and diversion. Yes, and I know if you're more focused on the diversion, we would expect that you would have a partner or some sort of sub grantee that's working on prevention, or vice versa. If you're only working on prevention, we would expect that you would have a sub grantee or something that's working on that diversion piece, whether that be you are contracting out the Court Nav program or something like that. But each program does still need to provide both prevention and diversion activities.
Okay. The third question, the program design format, is that going to be the same like it was last year?
You mean like the document I had that you filled out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the exact same.
Okay.
Which is part of the reason why we had you update them all for that Q3, just so they should be more updated than last year's.
Okay, and then I just have one question on the narrative in the application.
Okay, why don't we hold that one?
Okay.
Until we get to that part then.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Okay, any other questions? Okay. Sorry for all the clicking. I believe you were here. Data collection. We are still working with RVA Eviction Lab for the second year. They will be reaching out to you all to interview about the first year, the 2023 calendar year of VERP, and then they will obviously again reach out to you after VERP or the 2024 calendar year for another interview and another evaluation. We'll still have the biannual report. So like we said, in the first year, it'll be 4 total during this 2023-2024. You've already done the mid-year, the final report, or its final calendar year 1 report, or mid-year. We're working on that term, but you'll have that one coming up soon. And then again, we'll have another mid-year for 2024, and then another final one at the end, an actual final one at the end of 2024. The only changes to the data will obviously be, we'll be tracking those moving costs and application fees again, which if you were part of VERP 2, you will be familiar with that. The deadline is November 22nd at midnight. It's all through CAMS, just like the first year, and then they'll be evaluated as submitted. The same process, except you'll look for a VERP 2024 instead of VERP 2023. You'll have these instructions when I send this out. CAMS is the same. Make sure that you are frequently saving or working outside and then pasting it in, and that the text box does not, it only accommodates text. So you shouldn't include any of those graphics, tables, or charts. If you have them, should be in attachments. But again, that's not required. In CAMS, if you have any updates to this, you'll want to make sure your project information is updated and you're selecting your service areas as they are. You'll have the project budget. And like I said, the only difference is when you expand this one, there will be a moving cost line and an application fee line. But the other line items and budget things are all the same. Narrative information, these are the 4 questions that will be asked that are on the application. Please describe any significant changes in your VERP program since fiscal year 2023 or calendar year 2023 application in your program design. Please describe the impact VERP has made on your system thus far and how additional funding will improve your eviction prevention and diversion. What best practices has your organization identified implementing VERP specifically in your community? And what opportunities has your organization identified to improve program implementation into your community? So maybe what you are, things you are planning on implementing in 2024, this new calendar year that you identified as areas of growth. Brenda, what was your question?
My question was number 2, and I just wanted to get a clarification of when you say system. You know, are you talking about system changes? Are you talking about any process improvements, or I just need to understand what system you mean?
Yeah. I would say you could take it broader of just like what is the impact VERP has had, and maybe if there was like data of like things have gone down, listing these systemic changes or the partnerships that you've created and how that's impacted, and kind of just how more, like, why would more funding help, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's much more clarifying. Is it?
I don't know.
We're not referring to like a specific system. I think it's just sort of your eviction prevention system. There is.
I mean, because you know, you just keep talking about system changes. I didn't know if you were talking about that system or just in an impact in the program itself. And I mean, you can answer me later. I mean, not right now.
Yeah, we can talk more offline, but I don't think either of those responses would be wrong.
I don't know. Does anybody else have an idea? Or how you are thinking that is? Anybody?
Are you asking how we interpret the significant changes, if that means within our individual or the system changes in the community around us?
Yeah, I'm just saying to
It's
just
this word,
explain that question number 2 and what they
Oh,
mean by,
number 2.
yeah,
I would say
Okay.
it's both systemic changes you've identified as well as the impact VERP has had on your community. And these questions are intentionally broad. We really we don't want this to be a big lift because we know it's a 2-week basically turnaround.
Yeah,
So
I would just answer it, Brenda, how you've seen what impact that VERP has made for not only your constituents, but even your partners around you, and how you maybe have been able to lean on, or people have been able to lean on you because of the VERP funds, or like for us, we can reflect back on our UDs percentages that have turned into lockouts, and we can see that our VERP has made an impact in our community because our percentage of lockouts have decreased. So that's what we would reflect in that. So I'm not sure what kind of data y'all are tracking or whatnot, but that's how I would interpret it.
I got you. Thanks.
You're
thanks,
welcome.
Jen. Okay. All right. Any other questions on the narrative questions? And this is not the only opportunity. You can always email me or Senta or anybody about this with any questions. But okay, so I'll keep moving. Attachments, they're the same attachments as last time. We're just asking that they're updated. So the implementation timeline should reflect 2024, MOUs, policies, making sure that all of these impact or represent 2024, and those policies and procedures they should include the changes, which is only that moving cost and application fee, if that's listed in there. And so yep, just like I just said, updated versions of all of these. It's the same in the previous image, just a little easier to read here. Yes, make sure you press save and also submit, or else it will not get to us. The continuation grant application evaluation, it's going to be compliance and performance, which will be successful execution of contractual obligations. So, and performance based on those mid-year reports, as well as your narrative responses is where the performance comes in. I will say that something we just had our annual reviews. I don't know if you all are doing that, but something Senta has said to me is you should, if you're finding out right now that something has been wrong, or that you should never find out just in that area that something is going wrong. So I don't know. So you would probably know if there are compliance issues, is what I'm trying to say, before this application review. And you must score at least 30 points. Yes, Brenda?
Do we ask for the same amount that we got last year?
Can you say that again?
Should we ask for the same amount that was awarded last year?
Yes, good question. Yes, it's the same amount that you got last year. There will be no increase or decrease in funding.
Okay.
Thank you for asking that. If you need any data sources to help with those showing the impact of your community, we're including these in they'll have links to it in the PowerPoint that we send out. And that's it. There's still that CAMS help desk email if you need any technical CAMS question, like it's not working for you, like a pop-up is saying we're not going to work. That would be who you email, but application content questions, you can email Senta, you can email me, you can email Caroline. But that is all for that I have. I hope this was enlightening. You are, and if you have any questions.
Gabby,
let me know.
I got one more question. I'll be
Yes,
done with
please.
it. So this is related to the grant that we are currently in, and I know last year you all gave us an extension. So will we be getting an extension again this year, or are the dates that were originally, like the remittances had to be due January 6th and the final report due January 12th? Or are you going to extend it to like February like you did last year?
That is a question I do not have the answer to right here, but I will find that out and make sure, and I will get that answer to you all. But that is
Okay.
also a good question, so thank you for asking that. I'm gonna write that one down.
I think that was mostly, wasn't that a delay due to
Oh,
the gold sheet, Gabby? Which we
Yeah,
don't
I
have
do
to do
think that
again?
the extension was due to, if you remember, there was that delay in starting up VERP 3.0. But I will still make sure that there's no overlapping, like really difficult deadlines to meet, just because we haven't mapped out those dates for 2024, but it should be. We'll make sure.
You find out. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Caroline. Are there any other questions before I stop recording? Once. All right. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording.